This is Gary, the vegan carburetor, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new diet called the sugar diet. A lot of people, including myself, have been just hearing about this diet. You can see how it is blowing up, it's trending all of a sudden. We're seeing it popping up in search results and stuff like that. And now everybody's making a video about it. Isn't that interesting? And I think we're looking at the guy here that's responsible for that latest blow-up, getting people to talk about it. That's Mark Bell, bodybuilder. Back a couple weeks ago, May 2nd, he made this video, What I Eat on the Sugar Diet. I'm going to be watching this right now for the first time and give my real-time reaction. I'll be doing more videos later. And my videos are unique. Most unique diet and health videos. So subscribe and turn your notifications on to remind you to catch those videos. A big part of what I find interesting about him popularizing this high sugar diet, high carb diet, is that this guy spent the last few years promoting keto and carnivore. So it looks like we got another ex-carnivore, another keto fail. Now the sugar diet is not exactly what it sounds like. And we're going to see that here. And it's not a joke. This guy sounds pretty serious. Mark's breakfast choices. Going to watch that section now.
What I think I'm finding on the sugar diet is that it makes me just want to fucking go. It makes me just want to work. And then when I work, it makes me want to work even harder than normal. And I'm just noticing that I'm working at like better paces. I'm starting to feel a little bit stronger again. It's been super interesting. So I made this post. This was this morning. This is my breakfast. Anyway, I had some Sour Patch Kids. I ate like, I don't know, 10 or 20 of them, and I ate a couple handfuls of these Starburst jelly beans. I also had like 8 ounces of apple juice before my workout. Now keep in mind, I like to work out often. And so before that, I did a Peloton workout. I did like 30-minute Peloton workout. Then had these sugars, just did the workouts, I guess you'd say fasted. Ate plenty of carbs the night before, so I felt like I had a good amount of rocket fuel in me to get through that workout and to have good output on those workouts. But those workouts feel easier. They feel a little bit better to me. So I also want to make it clear that when I was doing keto, carnivore, low carb type stuff, that I never felt bad, but I didn't really realize. This almost reminds me of when I started to mess around with electrolytes. I started to take some electrolytes like during or in the middle of a workout when I was doing those styles of diets. I just was I had so much more oomph to me in the middle of the workout. Now it feels like I have even more to give. And so I was not feeling shitty or crappy doing those other diets. But when I was in the middle of a workout, I kind of felt like, I want to go home. I kind of felt like I didn't have as much. I'm not eating this every morning. This is not like my staple breakfast. I just happened to do it over the last 2 days because it ended up being pretty convenient. I think despite what people have been saying, I think that refined sugar, it's like hard to say it flat out, but I think refined sugar might be totally fine. And sugar in general might just be totally fine in all forms. There are things to think about. I mean, junk food is junk food. These things have citric acid in them. And that along with sugar is like, not great for your teeth. So there's some health concerns around some of these things, but in terms of plaque, in terms of libido, in terms of like all these different things that we're looking at for markers of health or diabetes, these things are not going to hurt those things. It might
That's right.
have a particular impact on some people that maybe are already compromised. I'll just give you a list of some of the foods that I've been eating, but I'm not having any protein and I'm not having any fat during the day.
I regularly correct people when they say stuff like that. Some people get the impression that there's no fat and protein in fruit, one thing, and also grains, because these things are called carbs or carb foods, and that is not a good way of looking at food. All real whole foods have all the protein and fat that you need, just about. Maybe not celery, but you can't live off celery. There's not enough calories. See, nature works out. But he might be right about that if he's just eating. Well, no, that's not true. If you're just eating refined sugar and candy, then yeah, you're not getting protein or fat. But he mentioned apple juice. There is protein and fat in that, but very little.
It's usually later on in the evening. Sometimes it might be as early as like 3 or 4 p.m. Usually trying to stick it like 5, 6, 7 p.m. is when I eat my proteins. My proteins are very lean sources of protein. 99% lean turkey. I'm trying to be pretty strict with it. 93.7 lean ground beef might be mixed in to like 2 pounds of that turkey to give it some fat, and then also to keep it super lean and add flavor through the beef. And I'll throw taco seasoning on there and some fajita, like vegetables, and it's awesome. I also did the same thing with like a stir fry, made it like an Asian dish, and it was absolutely awesome. Might eat that with heated and cooled rice or heated and cooled potatoes, heated and cooled stuff. You can watch Thomas DeLauer. He did a recent video talking about resistance.
So yeah, the diet is not mostly sugar. Why would someone just assume that it was? Maybe because of history on YouTube, like with the carnivores. Those people actually pretended, or they I thought they were pretending at first, in 2018. I didn't believe anyone was actually doing all meat. So he is eating potatoes and rice, which I eat a lot of. Yeah, why not? But why is he? If he's eating refined sugar and candy even, why is he eating potatoes? So Thomas DeLauer, I didn't even mean to say that. Yeah, he's also helping to popularize this by doing a reaction to this video. Let's see what he says about that.
Resistant starch might not seem like that big of a deal, but it is. I think like 50% reduction in the carbohydrates. Now I know that we're looking for like sugar blasts in this particular diet, but this is what I'll have with my dinner. I'll have a starch with my dinner, and I think it's appropriate as you go throughout the day to start to shift your carbohydrate focus into like things that are less energetic. So like berries have a good amount of fiber in them. They have a good amount of water. Watermelon's like nothing. It's just like water. But the amount of protein I've been eating might be 125 to maybe 200 on a particular day, but 125 to 175. I'm not really sweating. I'm not worried about it.
Keep in mind that he has a lot of muscle, a lot. So 125 isn't as high as it seems. He's going to want to maintain his muscle. But that's a lot for one meal, or just in the evening. And I'm thinking that's a lot of meat, isn't it? A lot of meat on the sugar diet. But that's for him. A regular sized person wouldn't need all that.
I utilize performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
I'm on more than just TRT. We'll just leave it there.
I was going to mention that when I mentioned all his muscle. As soon as I saw his physique, I thought, wow, that is steroid use. No one can get like that naturally.
If you want to DM me about it, you can hit me up on Instagram, Mark Smelly Bell. I'm always truthful about it.
Yeah, you might have heard his nickname there. He actually calls himself that. Does anybody know why? Let me know.
During the day, the foods that I'll eat, it's basically just fruits and vegetables. You know, in this case, I'm showing you guys some candy that I was eating.
Fruits is what I always eat. I was eating for decades, for the first half of the day, and I've had no reason to change. It just works fine, no problems.
Fruits, vegetables, fruit juice. I guess you could have maple syrup if you want to throw some maple syrup in there. Even regular juice, I never really thought about it this way, but Cole pointed this out. He's like, you got to hammer a ton of juice, a ton of apple juice or orange juice to like make it to where it's going to be like detrimental to you in terms of your weight loss. And he was even saying like, I think you'd have to drink like a gallon or maybe even more.
I don't think so. And I don't think we should be listening to that guy. There's now this new belief that if you can talk louder than the experts, than dietitians and scientists, then you should be believed more than them. You shouldn't even drink a gallon of water. That's just way too much. Even a half gallon is going to be just too much liquid food to be drinking all at once. I was just skimming to the end of the video here, and I found this notable bit of information.
Blueberries, blackberries. So a lot of berries. I'll also eat, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3 bananas in a day, depending on the day. I'll eat quite a bit of oranges, apples, just a lot of fruit. I've been eating a lot of dates. There's some people, as you dive into this rabbit hole.
Basically just has described my diet. The main foods I eat, plus the rice and potatoes. I also eat oats. I'm going to be making more videos on this diet, and I want your input about how I should proceed with those videos. Post your comments below. Should I wear this same hat, the Lion King hat, or my other hat that my old fans will know? The "This shit is bananas" hat. Let me know. Lion King or "This shit is bananas"?